UFC 296 is this weekend. We're going to go over the entire main card, starting off with the main event, ending off with the opening fight in the main card. I'm going to give you my picks and predictions on who I think is going to win and how the fight's going to play out. If you enjoy this content, be sure to like, comment who you think is going to win. I'm very interested on seeing who y'all are picking for UFC 296, and subscribe for more content like this. Now let's get into it. Now, the fight that everybody is looking forward to, the main event, Leon Edwards and Colby Covington. Leon is a minus 148 favorite and Colby is a plus 124 underdog. I've already gave my picks and predictions for this fight, but we're going to go over it anyway, just for the sake of this. Me personally speaking, and I think even the casual MMA fan would say, Colby does not deserve this title shot. You could give it to Bilal. You could even give it to Shavkat before you give it to Colby, right? Colby's last two wins are against Jorge Masvidal and Tyron Woodley. Colby hasn't fought in almost 2 years. And his best accomplishment is him almost beating Kamaru Usman. I hate to say that, but that is his best accomplishment. He's a heel. He brings over this great fan base where they almost, they don't care how Colby fights. They just want to see him talk and see the press conferences. And that's why people like Colby, right? It's not because of his fighting is one of one. I mean, Colby is a good wrestler and he constantly goes for the takedowns. But there's plenty of other UFC fighters that are just like Colby, but they just don't have the mouth or the stigma or the heel to them. I don't think Colby is that great, right? If you look at Colby and you look at his last 3 fights, there's nothing really different about his game. It's all the same. We all know what we're going to get. We're going to get this person who's going to be going about 60%. He's going to be constantly throwing like ones and twos and look for the takedown. He's going to wait for the leg kick and go for the single leg or the double leg and level change and take you down. And he's just going to maul you out for 5 rounds. That's what we're going to get, right? But for Leon Edwards, we really don't know what we're going to get. Because in every fight we have seen Leon, he has kind of looked the same, but he's also improved tremendously in his last couple of fights. If you look at Kamaru Usman and Leon Edwards in the second fight, right? Leon was having, in the first round, he did really good with the grappling defense. And then he was kind of struggling, and then he knocked out Kamaru Usman in the 5th round. If you look at the third fight, the very next fight, Leon's takedown defense looked amazing. He was defending a lot more takedowns. He was able to sweep more, distance himself more, and he was very cautious of throwing leg kicks so he wouldn't get taken down. Leon has made some changes in his game where you can kind of tell the difference, but with Colby you can't. And I feel like with this, when you look at Colby and Leon, you can't say Colby is going to smash Leon and do all these things when we just haven't seen it. We haven't seen Colby smash somebody like Leon did to Kamaru Usman, where he just dismantled him for 5 rounds, right? Colby Covington, he did have good fights with Kamaru Usman. He did ragdoll Jorge Masvidal. He did ragdoll Tyron Woodley. But at that time, those 2 fighters were out of their prime. They're out of their peak. Leon Edwards is in his peak, and I do not think Colby does to Leon what he did to Jorge, what he did to Tyron Woodley, what he did to Kamaru Usman. I do not see Colby Covington doing anything against Leon Edwards because of 3 things. His age, his time off in the UFC, he hasn't fought in almost 2 years, right? And his skills, right? I think styles make fights, and I think Colby Covington versus Leon Edwards, I think it is a bad fight for Colby. I really do think that. I don't think Colby is going to be able to get a hold of Leon. Leon is very physical. He has great takedown defense. He has great grappling defense in general. Leon is very good about spatial awareness. He knows when to throw a leg kick, when to punch you. He's very good at distance management. And I just think for this fight, I know Colby looked good against Kamaru Usman, and I know he ragdolled Jorge and he ragdolled Tyron Woodley. But against a prime peak Leon Edwards, I just do not see Colby Covington doing anything. I think Leon Edwards wins a unanimous decision win, 5 rounds. I think this is the end of Colby. I just don't see Colby Covington doing anything to Leon Edwards. For the co-main event, Alexandre Pantoja taking on Brandon Royval. I really like this fight. I really like Brandon Royval. I mean, I would not be surprised if Royval won. Royval has only lost to Pantoja and Brandon Moreno. I mean, he's a phenomenal fighter. He has a ton of submissions. His grappling is amazing. His striking is good. The only problem I have with Brandon Royval is that he folds sometimes. In his last fight against Nicolau, it kind of looked like he was getting beat up a little bit on the feet. And there was kind of moments where you would think that Brandon Royval was going to fold. I think Pantoja beats Brandon Royval up on the feet a little bit. I think he cuts him up, and he either used ground and pound to finish him or he'll submit him. Royval is really good. I really don't know how this fight's going to play out because both fighters are so equal. But I would favor Pantoja just because we saw him in that 5-round war against Moreno. He didn't stop. His striking was still there. He knew how to take a punch. His grappling is insane. And with Brandon Royval, he's a little iffy sometimes. He kind of folds. So I'm putting my money on Pantoja. I think he wins. And I think he finishes him off with some ground and pound in the second round. That's what I'm going with. Now for the Coco main event, we have Shavkat Rakhmonov taking on Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. I have Shavkat winning badly. If Shavkat does not use any ground game at all, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson does have a chance. He does have a chance, but it's slim. Shavkat's striking is fucking superior. It's amazing. It's phenomenal. His ground game is amazing. He's 17-0 with 17 straight finishes. I mean, Shavkat is that dude, right? He is that guy. He's a minus 520 favorite. Wonderboy is a plus 390. And props to Stephen Wonderboy Thompson for taking this fight because I don't think anybody wants to fight Shavkat. Shavkat showed in his last fight against Jeff Neal that he'll go to the third round if he needs to finish his opponent. Shavkat, it was a little questionable his last fight. He didn't go to the ground game that much, which was a little surprising. It was like, you clearly have great grappling and wrestling and jiu-jitsu. Like, why aren't you taking Jeff Neal down? I think maybe it was an ego thing where he wanted to prove to people that he could outstrike Jeff Neal. And he submitted him, which is insane, standing up. I think Shavkat beats Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. I think if Shavkat wants to win in a dominant fashion, you take Stephen Wonderboy down. Maybe you strike with him a little bit to, keep his hands up and then you go for the takedown. I'm not sure how you would. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson is very good at distance. He has that wide stance, that karate stance, but it's also very, vulnerable to getting taken down. I think Shavkat beats Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. I think he submits him. I would imagine Shavkat would stand up a little bit with Wonderboy to kind of just taste the power, and then Shavkat will go for the takedown. If Shavkat beats Stephen Wonderboy Thompson in 2 rounds, doesn't matter how he beats him, but if he beats him in 2 rounds, I think he is the next number 1 contender for the welterweight division. I think he surpasses Bilal Muhammad just because Shavkat, he'll be 18-0 at that time with 18 straight finishes, and compared to Bilal, I mean, Bilal kind of has like these weird decision wins where it doesn't really look convincing. Like, it doesn't look promising. He doesn't bring much excitement or attention to himself, right? I think Shavkat beats Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Second round, I'm going to say guillotine choke. I think he takes him down. He probably is a mount maybe, and he'll choke him out with guillotine. Now, we finally have Tony Ferguson and Paddy Pimblett. I think this is a retirement fight for Tony. I hope it is. Like, if this becomes 7 straight losses for Tony, you got to hang up the gloves. Tony is a plus 270 underdog, and Paddy is a minus 340 favorite. I am picking Paddy Pimblett to win because Tony Ferguson got submitted by Bobby Green. I don't think Bobby Green is good at all on the ground. Tony is just old, man. I mean, he's had a lot of miles on his body, and he's fought a lot of years, and he's went to war a lot of times, and he's fought some bad dudes, and I think this is just Tony's time, and he's just done. I think Paddy beats Tony, rear naked choke probably. Paddy's probably gonna eat some punches, get a hold of Tony, probably like judo sweep Tony on the ground, take his back and submit him, rear naked choke. Tony, everybody talks about his ground game and all this. It's just not there anymore. Like, we got to be real. Like, Tony is not the same fighter as he was. His striking even looks like shit. When he was striking with Nate Diaz and Bobby Green, it was just like, dude, like, you're so old. Like, what are you doing? And it's like, his punches are slow, and they're weak punches. It's just, I don't see Tony threatening Paddy at all. I know Paddy is a very green fighter, and people hate on him, and he's not good. But we got to be real. Paddy's ground game is legit. It's just his striking is dog shit, And I think Tony is old and bad enough for Paddy to look good in the striking department against Tony. I think it's fair to say that even though Paddy is not good in the striking department, him fighting Tony Ferguson, he's going to look good. Tony's old. His striking isn't there. His grappling ain't there. Tony just looks weak. And that hell week he did with David Goggins, like, I don't think that helped him at all or will help him. I think that was just a mental thing. I think Paddy, he probably gets a hold of Tony. He sweeps him, puts him on the ground, gets his back, rear naked chokes him. Probably second or third round. I'm picking that a finish. I think this is an end for Tony, and I really hope he hangs it up because I don't want to see his brain, gone. I really hope Tony hangs it up afterwards because he used to be one of my favorite fighters and still is. It's just, when you see a fighter that you like keep fighting and it's time to hang it up, it just becomes sad to watch, and you want him to retire to save himself, So I'm picking Paddy Pimblett to win second round rear naked choke. I think that's how he gets it done. And the opening fight in the main card, Vicente Luque and Ian Machado Garry. I know everybody's hating on Ian Garry, but we got to be real. Ian Garry's striking is amazing. It looked great against Daniel Rodriguez. It looked great against Neil Magny. I know people hate and shit on Ian Garry and they want him to lose, but I'm picking him to win. I think Ian Garry beats Vicente Luque. I think he just breaks them apart. They're former teammates. Vicente Luque is very good. He hits hard. His striking is pretty good. He can take a punch, but I think his chin is out. When he fought Bilal Muhammad, you could kind of see him deteriorate a little bit, and you could kind of tell Vicente Luque is losing it a little bit in the body. I think Ian Garry pieces up Vicente Luque. I think he wins in a decision win. I think he kind of just picks him apart. Vicente Luque is good, but he's getting old. He's 9th ranked in the welterweight division. He's slowly declining. I think this is where you start to see Vicente Luque kind of be a placeholder in the welterweight division, kind of like Neil Magny. I do think Ian Garry is very good. I think he is raising up. I think he will be a top 5 welterweight. I don't really like his personal life that much, but him as a fighter, he's a great fighter. His striking is amazing. He hasn't shown much grappling defense, but I doubt Vicente Luque will take it to the ground right away. He should. If he wants to win, he should take it to the ground. But Ian Garry, I think he is going to piece up Vicente Luque on the feet, where I don't think Vicente Luque is going to really have time to take it to the ground. Those are my picks for UFC 296. I hope you enjoyed. Please leave a like, comment who you're picking to win, and subscribe for more content like this. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. See you in the next video.